instruction in the world. But if I can just say one other point on this issue of whether or not Donald Trump knew what he was doing. And I saw, I think, over the weekend that Paul Ryan, who's, I think, in line to be president of the United States, he's in the succession line, has been trying to excuse this behavior. Again, putting aside whether it's obstruction or impeachable. That the President of the United States is new to this, and he's new to protocols, makes very, very little sense when the President became the President in part by campaigning at rally after rally after rally that I saw and Americans saw on the issue of whether or not it was appropriate for the former Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, to have a meeting on the tarmac with Bill Clinton. So he very well knew what the optics of that were and what the protocols were. And even though there's no evidence and no one has come forward to say anything untoward was discussed on that airplane at the tarmac when an ongoing investigation was underway with respect to Hillary Clinton, he nevertheless said, this is a reason why you should vote for me and not for that person. And for people to turn around and say, now that there is evidence that the President of the United States himself had a private conversation after kicking other high officials out of the room and told his FBI director confidentially to do something about a case that's pending, I think that's a big deal, and it can't be excused as simply being a novice or new.
The president's defenders, like Alan Dershowitz, say there's no grounds for obstruction. You've talked about that. And he, in fact, says that the presidents have the constitutional right to fire FBI directors and investigations as much as they want. One of the president's attorneys, Jay Sekulow, is coming up next. He says there's no no basis for obstruction. You're a former prosecutor. Is there evidence there to begin a case for obstruction?
I think there's absolutely evidence to begin a case. I think it's very important for all sorts of armchair speculators in the law to be clear that no one knows right now whether there is a provable case of obstruction. It's also true, I think, from based on what I see as a third party and out of government, that there's no basis to say there's no obstruction. And this point on whether or not the president has legal authority to fire or to direct an investigation, I don't really get it. It's a little silly to me. The fact that you have authority to remove someone from office doesn't automatically immunize that act from criminal responsibility. And I'll give you an example of something from a different context. If it were to be true, and this is all made up for the sake of argument, if it were to be true that Michael Flynn offered $1 million to Donald Trump and said, I'm going to give you this $1 million, and I'm giving it to you because I want you to fire Jim Comey. And then Donald Trump fired Jim Comey, which everyone agrees he has the absolute authorization and authority to do, that would be an open and shut federal criminal case. It's a quid pro quo, and he could be charged if he were not the President of the United States. So this argument that you keep hearing on the TV shows that the mere fact that the President can fire an official at will doesn't solve the problem.
In the end, though, as a